she confronts me. "You need to get help." "What do you mean?" "You know exactly what I mean." She reaches across the kitchen table and touches my temple with her fingers. "It's a circus in there, and you don't even see it. I'm worried. I've been worried a long time, Jim, and I really don't know how much more you can take of this." She only uses my name when she wants to instruct, and her tone is sincere. "Every night you drink until you pass out because you can't sleep, but the drinking only makes the nightmares worse. Something has to give," she says. "There must be some kind of medication you can take." Medication, I think, is for the truly troubled psyche, and I don't see myself quite that far down the line. And strangely enough, for an alcoholic/addict, I don't want to get strung out on whatever some doctor might prescribe. Depression and nightmares, however, frequently go hand in hand, and I figure that if I can remedy one, I'm bound to see improvement in the other. I'm also not altogether enamored by the idea of bearing my soul to a psychiatrist, so in my initial plan of attack I make an appointment with a general practitioner. On my first visit, I tell him I'm depressed. "Have you had a recent crisis?" he asks. "The loss of a loved one? Your job? A divorce?" "Not recently," I say. "But you've been depressed?" "Yes." "For how long?" "A couple of years." "It's been much longer, but I don't want to make a bigger deal out of this than it already is, so I lie. And it's that easy. 10 minutes later, I'm out the door with a prescription in my pocket, cautiously hopeful that maybe, just maybe, these pills might work. The day marks the beginning of my journey through the world of psychotropic antidepressants. In the months to follow, through the tedious process of trial and error, I learn that what lifts the clouds from around the psyche of one troubled soul may, in fact, cause a hailstorm in another. As millions of others before me, I start with Prozac, and inside of a week I find that it does take the edge off my depression. But it also takes the edge off every other feeling, from joy to anger, and I find myself living in a haze of emotional mediocrity. Even worse, I can't get it up in the bedroom, and as a result I sink into a depression uglier than the one I'm trying to shake. I return to the doctor. This time he prescribes Zoloft, a cousin to Prozac in the family of antidepressants known as serotonin reuptake inhibitors, or simply SSRIs. It helps with my depression, but again, I'm an utter failure in the bedroom. Next on the list is Effexor, chemically different than its predecessors, but equally effective in the treatment of chronic depression, and though I don't suffer for it sexually, it raises my already elevated blood pressure to even more dangerous levels. Then comes Serzone, an antidepressant in a class all its own, but it renders me almost completely incapacitated with a constant shrill-pitched ringing in my ears. By now nearly a year has passed, and I've just about given up hope of ever finding any relief in the form of a pill, when, as a last resort, my doctor suggests Wellbutrin, yet another antidepressant, but one typically prescribed only after all the others have been tried and failed. The primary reason for caution is the high rate of seizures in its users, but for me, as it turns out, it's a drug well worth the risk. It relieves the gloominess. It gives me energy and improves my mood. Had I been honest with the doctor on the first visit when I filled out the questionnaire in the waiting room, the one asking whether or not I use or have ever used narcotics, I could have saved myself a lot of needless misery. As it turns out, Wellbutrin is often prescribed for those of us who've used too much cocaine for too long, or any of the various amphetamines. In doing so, we've damaged our brain's ability to produce dopamine, one of 3 neurotransmitters responsible for a feeling of well-being, frequently condemning the worst of us, the hardcore abusers, to a lifelong mental slump. My search for the right antidepressant ends well, but as far as the nightmares go, they remain unfazed through the entire ordeal.